What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fans View podcast. Today, I am very excited to bring on a fellow podcaster, one that feels my pain and knows the struggle all too well. She is one of the voices behind one of the fastest rising wrestling fan podcasts out there, the Shoots and Ladders podcast. And whether she's breaking down the biggest WWE and wrestling stories, or she's traveling across the country all over the place for live events, she's built a reputation for being passionate, knowledgeable, and most importantly, authentic. Please welcome to the show, Miss Deseree Joson. Deseree, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic, and thank you so much for that intro.
Hey, I told you before we started rolling, I gotta pretend like I'm professional at least, right?
You know exactly what you're doing. What a way with words. Thank you. I will take it.
Hey, well, I appreciate you making the time to come on the show. I know you were an incredibly busy lady. So with that in mind, let's just jump into this thing because I'm so excited to talk to you today. For people that may be discovering you for the first time, they haven't seen the podcast, who is Deseree outside of wrestling? What are a few things that make you you?
Well, I am from Jacksonville, Florida. I went to FSU and I'm just a Florida girl. So I love the beach. I love good food. I love hanging out. I'm very low maintenance. I love to work out, stay active. I am just a huge wrestling fan at heart, born and raised. My family, starting from my grandfather, he used to go to house shows here in Jacksonville, brought my mom, and then it just trickled down to my brothers and I. So if I'm not watching terrible reality TV shows, I am watching wrestling.
Okay, well, you know what? I didn't realize you were an FSU fan, so we're just going to kill the interview now. No, I'm kidding. I'm a Clemson guy, but I won't hold it against you. No, God, no.
Okay.
I'm a Clemson fan. I'm up here in South Carolina, but you know what? I enjoy the podcast, and you're such a sweet person. We're not going to hold it against you. We're just going to pretend like you didn't say that.
I know.
But let's go all the way back. Do you remember that exact moment when you kind of fell in love with wrestling? And was there like one wrestler or match or moment that hooked you?
Yes, it's Macho Man Randy Savage. He is my guy, my end-all be-all. Specifically, I remember, I believe it was WrestleMania 7 in 91, where he was against Warrior for the retirement match. And then I just loved Sensational Sherry too. So this is where he or she got mad that he lost. She attacks Macho Man, and then they keep panning to the audience and they see Miss Elizabeth in the black and white starred sweater. It's just all visual to me. And then she jumps the barricade. They get together. This love story. I love them. The craziness of Sherry, just how cool Macho Man is. I think that's the thing that always sticks out in my head when I think about it.
Right. I love that. Every wrestling fan just has that era that they connect with.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite era of wrestling, and why does it stand out to you?
Attitude Era, 100%. I was in middle school and high school. That was the talk of everything. I had to be home on Mondays to watch Raw. And I remember I had gym class, first period on Tuesday. So I would sit with these group of guys that watched wrestling. And so we would talk about that. We would talk about Nitro, the Monday Night Wars. It was just...
I love that.
It's just the best time of wrestling.
You could not be more right. Now you've become someone whose opinions are heard by thousands of wrestling fans every week. When did the idea of starting a podcast first become real to you?
It was a few years ago. I co-host the podcast with my friend Jason, who also went to FSU, and that's where we met. And we would text each other, whatever is going on a PLE, whatever show, whatever storyline. And we would just go back and forth with our ideas and just, whatever, just talking like fans. And then we were like, this would be funny as a podcast. And, let's just share our random thoughts. And then he's a tech guy who has worked for Fox Sports, and he's like behind the scenes. I'm just a yapper. And he's like, let's just do this for fun. And that's what happened. I think it's 3 years ago, I believe. And I've been doing it ever since.
Flies and you're having fun, right?
Yeah.
When did the conversation go from, oh yeah, we should have a podcast, to, oh wait, we have a podcast?
It was literally maybe 6 months. We brought up the idea and then kind of put it to the side. And then I ran into a friend at work who had a podcast, and I was like, tell me how easy is this to do? If it's simple, I can do it. He's like, just go to Amazon, buy a couple of things like a light, get a microphone, you have a computer, just do it. You'll figure it out. And literally, we bought the equipment 1 week, tested it out the following, and then within a month, we were up and going.
I love that. I wish it were simple and easy as everyone made it sound before you start, but that's a whole nother podcast episode. So
Yeah.
looking back at those early episodes, what makes you laugh now? Because obviously it's so cringy and hard to watch yourself talk if you're anything like me. Were there things that you thought were going to be easy that turned out to just be debacles?
Technology is a whole different beast because I was explaining to you before this, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just push buttons and hope that they work. Luckily, I have other friends that know how to do and can guide me through these things. So technology, and then just how comfortable you are on camera and hearing your own voice. And when you're
Yeah.
editing and loading reels and things and you cringe at your voice, and just you're just working with lighting and just having a good conversation and realizing it's okay to make a mistake because we're human. So I think when I go back, I'm trying really hard to do something and I'm like, just be cool.
I love that. That really encapsulates podcasting just right there in that little snippet, because it is just so much more difficult than people could even understand. Like you said, between all the social media that goes into it, when people hear you say, oh, I have a podcast, like, oh, okay, cool. So you record 30 minutes to an hour and then you put it out and that's it. It's like, oh, no, sweetheart. No. You have to edit the podcast. You have to upload the podcast. You have to promote the podcast. Luckily for me, I learned early on, like, nobody wants to see my face and hear my voice. So I just get awesome guests and I cut myself out of the reels. And that's what works for me.
Oh,
And so I really respect what you and Jason do, where it's just you guys. You guys don't have guests on.
mhm.
How did that format kind of come along? Was there ever any thought to, let's have an interview podcast, let's do this, let's do that, watch longs?
Yeah. Well, we started off just throwing everything out. Like we like to plan ahead. So weeks ahead, we have a list and we do 2 episodes a week. So we're recording every Sunday, 2 episodes. So we release on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then we were starting out just doing reviews for PLEs and pay-per-views for AEW and WWE. Then we got creative and said, let's do a fun behind the story of certain gimmicks or a countdown of like the best WrestleManias, that kind of stuff.
Right.
We did interview a couple of people. It's just something that hasn't turned into our niche, I guess. But we did have Seth Rollins' partner for Black and Brave on there, Merrick Brave, a couple of times. I think we had, he's up north, a rising indie wrestler, Trey Felipe. Yeah, so we have a couple of people in our pocket. We just haven't bit the bullet of doing it, but we are more or less like a fun fan countdown type of podcast, I guess.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. And like we kind of touched on, podcasting looks simple from the outside, just 2 people talking. How hard could it be? People don't always see everything that goes into it. What do you feel like has been the biggest challenge for you that Shoots and Ladders has faced?
I think it's fighting the algorithm. I feel like there's a lot of us and there's nothing wrong. I feel like there's room for everybody, but I think it's finding your audience and getting them engaged. I think it's staying relevant and finding those one-off topics that's going to get some views. It's really hard, because some people like the live reviews, they have their audience, and then there's like, I feel like we're like mid-carders right now.
Yeah. No, I understand it. And we are in such a crowded space right now. you know, for better and for worse, there's a lot
Mhm.
of options out there. So you've got to have a voice. You've got to do something special, you know, to warrant that attention. Has there been a moment where you questioned, like, do we really even want to do this anymore? Have you guys faced that obstacle yet?
Not really, just because this is our creative outlet.
Right.
We work regular 9 to 5 jobs. I work in finance Monday through
Okay.
Friday. So on my breaks and lunch, I'm making notes or editing or doing something. And by the weekend, I am researching, and it's just a fun, just because I love it so much, I don't look at it as work. Granted,
Absolutely.
you'll get your trolls who say things, and there are times when you're like, oh, this is so gonna hit. And you barely get any views, you're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
the way to hit
Yeah.
the ego." Those times you're like, but at the end of the day, we like to do it for fun.
Absolutely. Man, those YouTube and Spotify metrics will humble a human being quite quickly.
I sure will.
Every creative partnership obviously has disagreements. You spend enough time with someone, you're going to want to strangle them at some point. How do you and Jason handle that dynamic when you completely disagree on a wrestling topic?
I think the most important thing is that we're friends first. We made
Love
that
that.
very clear. We've known each other since college, since 2005. So we have a big foundation of friendship. We have our close friends from college still that help support us. So we, for the most part, we don't really disagree, but there are times where I'm like, yeah, I don't like that guy. And we'll bicker, but nothing too malicious where we're like, hey, we've got to take a step back. And luckily
Right.
our personalities are different, so we really don't bump heads. He's very easygoing. I'm very type A. So everything works out. It's a good balance. But if we do, at the end of the day, we've always said we have each other's back.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear that. Shoots and Ladders has it's continued to grow. I've watched it grow myself as a fan. What does success look like for you for the podcast over the next 3 years?
I would love to, I don't know, just expand more, I guess. I would love to see a little bit of our numbers grow. I would love some more fan interaction. At the end of the day, it's just, how do we feel as fans? Do we feel like we're having fun? Are we getting out our opinions without being, crossing the boundary and being respectful to other people, which at the end of the day, that's our big thing. We're
Yeah.
not going to disrespect the business. But, it's just, are we having fun? Are we making someone laugh? Or are we opening up a conversation for other fans and making it a fun community? And if we can get some stars on or some interactions from them, why not? Does this open the doors for us to do other things that are bigger on bigger platforms and TV? I'm a contributor on Going Ringside. Does that open doors for other things for our podcast? So,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And we're circling back to that. We're not done with that topic. Have you ever thought? Has it ever crossed your mind of doing, and not in lieu of, but in addition to? Have you ever thought about doing a solo podcast or another project outside of the show right now, or is this partnership just the sole priority?
yeah, there's a couple of ideas floating in my head. I'm a toy collector.
Okay.
I'm a big old nerd. So I have two older brothers that have influenced me. They're toy collectors too. So I started collecting, from old school like Barbies and stuff from the 80s and 90s, but I also have a wrestling collection of figures. And so I was like, maybe I could do something for that. And also, too, I'm a girl that just has a lot on her mind. And I'm pushing 40, so I have a lot of thoughts and stuff. So I was like, maybe I'll just do like a fun podcast of just broad things rather than just
Right.
wrestling.
Yeah. No. I. That's all. That'd be awesome. Now we're gonna get back to it because you thought you were just gonna glaze over that. You've had the opportunity to appear on local television pretty regularly, like you said, with the Going Ringside segment. That's not something most fans get to do. How did that opportunity first come about?
You wouldn't believe it, and I still can't believe it. It was after my first episode that we released for Shoots and Ladders.
Wow.
Yeah, it was our first episode. We were covering River City Wrestling Con, which we were at and we go
Hmm.
to every year. And Scott Johnson, the host of Going Ringside, messaged me and he goes, "Hey, are you local?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you want to be on the show?" And I was like, "Sure. I don't know. I don't know what to do." And I'm like, "What's happening? Our first week. Look at us, our big break."
Look
And
at
so
you.
I know. And then I ended up being really great friends with Scott. I go on maybe every couple of weeks. We record a bunch of episodes. I've got to go to the CW interviews with him in Orlando. I'm the mic girl at the panels. So
Love
it's
that.
just fun stuff.
You're just moving on up in this wrestling community. You can't
I'm
be
trying.
stopped. What was it like walking into a TV studio knowing like you're representing wrestling fans to an audience that may not follow wrestling every week?
Yeah. It's intimidating because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I also need to be myself and voice my own opinion. So, luckily, I am prepared. I have topics that I'm given, and then I can, just think about things that I want to say or things I shouldn't be touching on. So, yeah, it's interesting because in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, I want to say I don't like that person. And then Scott's like, let's be neutral. And I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah, there you go. I appreciate the honesty. One other thing that I've noticed, if anybody peruses your social media presence, you've been fortunate enough to attend some of wrestling's biggest events, be it WrestleMania, SummerSlam, premium live events. You've also supported the smaller shows, and as somebody who has frequented Normandy Boulevard, those NXT events at the Jacksonville Armory and all around the Armory Loop are some of the most special shows you could attend for those that don't know. What do you think fans miss out on that only watch TV wrestling?
You are missing like a completely different experience when you are there firsthand. And if you can get like a house show or one of the coconut shows that are for NXT at the Armory, there is only maybe like 100 people in that room, and the NXT stars are checking you in. They're running you,
Yeah.
they're checking your purse. You can grab them to the side and say, "Hey, can I get a picture?" You get to interact with them and it's not taped. So you can get away with heckling and just having fun with them. But I think too is when you're there in the crowd with other fans, you start making new friends. You get to see familiar faces and you get to have a lot of fun for a couple of hours. It's a big family where you're having fun, you feel safe, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah, agreed. Again, I'm in South Carolina, but during the beginning of the NXT boom, like 2014, 15, a lot of road trips down there to Jacksonville, to
Yeah.
Palatka, to Citrus Springs, and man, it really makes you fall in love with that NXT product. Like you said, it's a very tight knit community down there.
Love
So
it.
yeah, I can't stress enough, people. If you're able to, get down to Florida because those Armory shows are special.
Hmm.
Is there one live wrestling moment, speaking about your PLE and experiences like that? Is there one live wrestling moment that still gives you chills to this day when you think about it?
Well, I went to my first WrestleMania this year finally. That was like a religious experience. I walked in and I'm like, "I'm here. I finally did it." And that was crazy. But the one that really sticks out to me was a Rumble. I went to the one in Tampa, I believe it was 2024. And I was fortunate enough to treat both my older brothers and my mom who love wrestling and took them. And we sat in the box seats. We had a fun experience where we got to go to Raymond James Stadium for the night before, who was at Chelsea and Piper at the time. And our box seats were right next to Seth and Roman. So we were arm's length away. And it was so cool. Towards the end, Seth is watching Who's Going to Win Rumble, eating popcorn. I got the popcorn.
I
So
love that.
I, it's disgusting. I had the popcorn as like a fun, like, haha, I shared popcorn with Seth Rollins. And then I dumped it, but I still have the carton in a plastic bag.
I love that.
I can't believe I just said that.
Love that. You are the most relatable person I've ever met. Like, yes, just let that freak fan flag fly. That was a tongue twister, but God bless. I love that. You're someone who's seen wrestling from a fan perspective for years. Now you get to comment about it on a regular basis. Overall, how do you feel? What do you feel about the current state of pro wrestling where it's at right now?
I enjoy it. I think it's going to be forever evolving. Change is necessary. What I love is that we are embracing other people rather than, I think, like social media. So we're seeing different kind of talents from other countries now, and we're getting exposure to different promotions rather than, growing up, all I knew was WCW and WWF at the time. And now I'm like, okay, there's AEW, there's TNA, there's Ring of Honor, and then there's other places outside of the country like Japan and Australia and Mexico. And that's what I love. And now that we're getting these different types of wrestling into these bigger promotions and making stars out of them, and I that's what I love.
I like that. Give me a couple of your wrestling hot takes. Do we have anything stewing over there?
I'm trying to think, do I have anything? I know that Randy Orton should. I have a couple of other fellow podcasters that really give me some hell because I'm a big Randy Orton girl. And I'm like, he needs to beat Cena's record. And I was like, he's getting close and he should. And he's just not. So that's for a couple of guys on the West Coast that give me problems.
I don't hate the take. I don't think it'll ever happen. But I don't hate it. Randy is one of those pillars, honestly, of professional wrestling at this point. So,
yeah.
SummerSlam's right around the corner. I know somebody that might be on their way pretty soon. Is there a match or a story that you're just so excited to see, as you make your way out there next weekend?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm getting there Thursday. And I think the big one, and I think everybody's on the same page, is going to see Brock and Oba. For them to be in a Hell in a Cell, basically, it's going to be so good. I'm fortunate enough to be 6th row, so I hope to see a lot of damage.
I love that. It seems like every Hell in a Cell match is, they really put over the fact that they're locking these animals in a cage, and this might be one of the rare times where, man, that billing really just fits. Like those two enormous human beings in that cell, it's gonna be a spectacle. So I'm pretty excited about that myself.
It's like 2 silverbacks going at it.
Telling you, they're gonna steal the show. That's not necessarily a hot take, but I do believe those guys are gonna steal the show.
Yeah.
Do you have a bold SummerSlam prediction? Do we have like one of those sounds crazy today on July 22nd, but come the night after SummerSlam, you'll be patting yourself on the back?
I don't have anything crazy. I just had in my head, I'm like, are we going to see the return of Stephanie Vicaire? And she's going to potentially interfere with Liv. Who knows? I don't even know. Obviously, I'm thinking we're going to see Brock's retirement, official one at least. So, yeah, nothing too crazy. Do you have anything?
I just, the Cody and Punk story just really has my attention, and I'm so excited. I don't necessarily have a take or a prediction. I am just, even as a jaded wrestling fan that's been watching this for 30 plus years, they genuinely have me interested. Like, what are they going to do? Do they have the courage to turn Punk heel? Do they have the courage to turn Cody heel? I don't know.
Turn them both heel.
Yeah, I'm so genuinely curious, and it's not often that I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't know what they're going to do. So I'm excited for that for sure. Finally, last but not least, for people who haven't checked out Chutes and Ladders yet, what can they expect, and why should they add it to their weekly wrestling rotation? We kind of talked about at the beginning how we're in a very crowded arena But what stands out about you and Jason?
We have a lot of fun. We are shoots and ladders for a reason because we shoot. We just say whatever we feel respectfully. So if we don't like something, we're going to tell you, hey, that match was terrible. I don't know what's going on with this character development. We're going to say it. We do fun predictions, fun reviews, fun countdowns. And we don't cover just WWE. It's AEW, it's NXT, it's whatever is hot and worth talking about for the week. So 2 episodes a week, Mondays and Wednesdays.
I love it. I love it. Well, I got into my last 2 questions, and they are my favorite. We kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but this is the Fans View podcast, so I have to ask you, outside of professional wrestling, what are you a fan of?
Terrible reality TV. I'm a big fan of the Golden Girls, the TV show.
Okay.
So if people don't know that I love wrestling, they associate the Golden Girls with me. So that's a fun thing. And I love going to concerts and just music and any kind of live event like that. So I'm a big fan of the 90s, as all of us 90s kids are. So yeah, that was the best childhood that anyone could have. So, anything like that.
I love that. You have now become my favorite guest of all time. Take your rightful place upon the throne.
Thank you.
Last but not least, at this stage of the podcast, of your finance career, of life, how do you define success?
It's being happy. I've learned as I'm getting older, it's not material things. It's making memories with the people that you love and doing the things that bring you joy. And I read this thing years ago that your 20s is for growing up, but your 30s are for going back to who you were as a teenager and loving those things and loving who you were there. So, and that's what I noticed in my 30s. I went back to wrestling, really owning that I was a fan like I was when I was little, doing fun things, listening to old music, going to and having those experiences that I never got to have, and doing it as an adult with pride and just being myself. So if I can be myself, do things that make me happy, love the people I love, that's success.
Hey, well, please keep being yourself, because we all love it out here. I know the viewers and the listeners of the Shoots and Ladders podcast love you. They love Jason as well. For people that are uninitiated and haven't seen the show yet, let them know where can they get a hold of you? Where can they get a hold of the show? Where can they get some of this fantastic content that you and Jason are putting out twice a week?
Yeah, you can see our goofy faces on YouTube at the official Shoots and Ladders. We're on Spotify as well, and I'm posting nonstop on Instagram, and I'm getting back on Facebook. So,
okay, all right, there you go. Breaking news. That's a hot scoop for the Fans View podcast. Well, Deseree, this has been wonderful. This took a while to get put together, but it's been well worth the wait, and hopefully we'll have you back on. We did it. We did it. Let's just take a moment for ourselves. Just look at us. We're just making it happen. And God bless River City Wrestling Con for bringing us together. So, yes. But we're definitely going to have you back on with your co-host Jason sometime in the near future. We're going to talk more podcast and just more wrestling. But guys, if you don't already follow the Shoots and Ladders podcast, she gave them all to you. I'm going to put the links in the description and the show notes of the YouTube and the Spotify. Please, guys, go support her. Go show her and her co-host some love. Go show their podcast some love after you subscribe to ours, of course. And most importantly, guys, don't forget at the end of the day, call your mom.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.